The current podcast is sponsored by New Life Barber Lounge. New Life is not another barbershop. This is a place where you will find great energy and a friend in the New Life crew. This is a place all about the experience. They will take care of you and have you looking spectacular. Don't waste your time at any other place. Go right now and follow them on Instagram at New Life Barbers and get yourself looking spectacular.
Welcome to the current podcast. Thank you for joining us on another episode tonight. This is your producer, Byron. We got our co-producer, Mauricio, in the building. How are you, brother?
Pretty good. And yourself?
Good, man. Thanks for asking. And then we got our co-host, Enzo, in the building.
Yo, how you guys doing today?
And we can't forget our other host, Manny.
Hey, how's it going,
How you
guys?
doing, man?
Very well,
And then
very well.
we have a special guest tonight, everyone.
Very
Kim
special guest.
Shapira. How are you?
Hey, Kim,
I'm so here. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you've got a bachelor's degree in nutrition. You got your master's degree also as well in metabolism. What made you, want to decide to go down that journey?
Oh, man, that's a loaded question. How much time do we have?
It's always a loaded question because I'm trying to understand, how'd you go from, starting with kinesiology, and kind of going more in that exercise, path and then decide, no, nutrition is where I want to go.
You know what's interesting? When I saw the list, I was like, she can help me gain weight.
Yeah, Enzo's always had the problem of being too skinny.
Right.
And I have the opposite.
So I'm like, it's going to be a great podcast. I got a lot of questions.
I can help everyone.
Right.
That's my goal. Yeah. I would say there isn't anyone I can't help. How about that? So we can just take turns. But a little bit of my background is I was a sick kid is how I would start the story, right? And so I was on a journey to get healthy my whole life. And I picked a career that was going to make me healthy. So I spent a good time when I was 12 until I was 18, going in and out of the hospital, having multiple surgeries. And so what I came to learn is that we pick careers and spouses to master our triggers.
Wow.
And triggers form, yep.
That's
So
deep.
triggers form in the first 7 years of our life. And then anytime we go through something traumatizing, like 9/11, COVID, or in my case, when I got sick. And I knew that food could make people healthy, and I wanted to help people like people had helped me. And it's interesting because when I would go to UCLA, like every Wednesday, my mom would say to me, like, don't cry. And again, I was 12. She would say, don't cry, we'll go shopping after. And so I developed a fierce shopping addiction, right? People would say you shop too much. And I would say, no, I just like new things.
So that was like your coping mechanism with leaving after. You're like, I know I have something to look forward to after the doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's your escapism.
I can relate to that heavily. I have a shopping.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I picked a career that could make people healthy, and I, hung my shingle and kind of like started my practice. I put people on diets, and my first client was a therapist, and she lost 30 pounds. And I was like so impressed with myself. And then she said, you know what, I'm going to gain the weight back. And I thought, wait, that's like the opposite of what you should be doing. Why would you do that? And she said, my husband wants to have sex with me all the time, and I was molested as a child, and I can't handle it. And I thought, I'm not prepared at all for this career. And so I started seeing the parallels of my shopping and people's eating. And as I started healing myself, I started using this method to help people and change their relationship with food. And it's been 25 years. And
Wow, this is very
my
impactful.
story.
You know why why I'm kind of stunned is because I've been dealing with my own trauma with food, and I've been kind of like doing my own journey with. I got sober a year and a half ago off of pills, and after getting sober, I started questioning like why I did what I did, right? And then I work in a barbershop. I'm a barber, so I have all these guys that they're always wondering, why do you eat the same thing every day? I don't really step away from what I do like, or you know what I'm saying? And then I started realizing that a lot of it, like, it's not, I don't want to throw, my parents under the bus or anything. It's just, as a picky eater, and then them trying to deal with me sometimes was like, you're not gonna get up until you finish your plate. You know, and then everybody else got up and finished their plate, and I'm just still sitting there like, dang, bro. So then me as an adult now, I'm like, I don't even try new foods because it's like, I'm going to be sitting here all day because I'm not going to I'm going to be picking at it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I've been really questioning, you know, that. And it's kind of amazing that you even said that, you know, what your trauma is correlated to what you eat, you know? And like, I've been trying to like, I'm very excited to see the journey of even myself, even with knowing you now, that how you can help me break those barriers and be like, okay, I could try this now. And it's just like, because how did you do that? How did you break a barrier? What was something that, you know, you figured out quickly that you're like, dang, okay, hold up.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, you have a very interesting journey. So like, we can just like talk about you for a second.
Yeah,
and
let's go. Let's go. I'll be the guinea pig.
Yeah. When you think about it, you know, there's some underlying anxiety. And so anytime, and labeling, let's just start with the labeling. So I have 6 rules. I'm just going to say them really quickly. And I call them the Kim Shapira method. And the first rule is to eat when you're hungry. And the second rule is to eat what you love. The third rule is to eat without distractions. The fourth rule is to get 10,000 steps. The fifth rule is to drink 8 cups of water. The sixth rule is to get 7 hours of sleep. All of these rules make you well. But if we like just jump into eat what you love, when a person is labeled, then there's no room to change or grow. And so this idea to eat what you love sounds terrifying to somebody who might be picky. But like the question is, who are you without that label? What if we just started with that? Who are you without that label?
Without the picky eater label. That's deep.
Oh, we can have another podcast about that, honestly.
Who would you be without, you know, a history of addiction? Could you be anything you want in this moment?
Right.
You are actually free for that, yeah?
Right, exactly. No, that's very true. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely a different person from the addiction to who I am. I'm still discovering that person, so, you know.
And was this the journey that you took for when you were going through this? As far as after you know you were sick and all that stuff, was that the journey you took, these steps, or did you develop this afterwards? Kind of trial and error. How'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, it's a journey, right? So no one's perfect, and I'm a constant work in progress is how I like to put it. But what I've learned is that when people have a superiority complex, like I already know what I need to do, we neglect to really take care of ourselves or stay connected to what's important. And so I would say that progress looks different for everyone. And for me, you know, there might have been a time when I got to Bloomingdale's. I'm not even sure how I ended up at Bloomingdale's, but then I looked around and realized there isn't anything in here that I need. I already have everything I need inside of me to get through this moment, right? And again, maybe I got to a website and I got to the checkout section, but then I didn't, you know, buy anything. So progress looks different. But at this point, what I think is amazing, my mom was sick a couple months ago. And again, I have this health trigger. And there wasn't like even a temptation that I needed something to buy, that something was going to solve this problem, right? And so again, progress looks different for everyone. At this point in my journey, I don't even think about buying something to help me survive this moment,
right?
Because I already know that I am strong enough and that I have survived every moment that I've been in. I might not like every moment, but those moments pass, and I've learned that. And, you know, we make all choices from either a place of trust or fear.
That's so
fear,
deep.
like, you know, in Enzo's case, like maybe he's afraid that people are going to pay attention to him. And what if he doesn't like the food taste?
Yeah, that's crazy that she's saying that, because that's one of my biggest things that I always be like, trying something new as an adult has me always like, I don't want to try something new because I don't want somebody to look at me and like, bro, really? You don't like that? Or being like put on the spot for something that might not like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and because like right now, everybody, I'm 31. Everybody's like sushi, and I'm married and everything. And I still have yet to take my wife to eat sushi. But it's like everybody is stunned when they hear me say that. And I'm just like, raw food? Nah, I'm not. And then everybody's like, no, it's not all raw. Like, you know, they start trying to break it down and make me feel comfortable with trying that. But I'm like, I'm traumatized by chow mein and anything Chinese food related. I'm like, nah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's crazy that, you know, like, hey man, it's gonna be
I've never had sushi in my whole life.
okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah. I've never had it. It's not for me. I'm never gonna want it. But I'm also not afraid to worry what other people think of me.
Right.
Food, right? And everybody's so interested in what I'm eating and what I'm ordering, what's in my shopping cart. And like, I eat what I love, and I don't care what anyone else thinks or feels about the food I love.
And what is some of the other testimonials that you've had from, like, aside from the first one that you had that was 30 pounds, and then how did she deal with that she was like, how did she get overcome? Did she ever overcome that?
I failed her. I wasn't prepared for her in my life.
Okay.
I was, not at all ready for her, but she was such an important part of my journey. I needed to learn so much at that point.
It made you realize that you needed to be better equipped in order to deal with any future clients that you might have.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see dietitians or nutritionists and they talk about, jumping in and going to work. And I'm like, you should just be very careful because again, like if you look at diet culture, you don't want to affect anyone. And like, look at Enzo. Now I'm just.
No, let's do it. I'm here.
It's one of the worst things in the world, whether it's, like, for instance, my 15-year-old during COVID, she said, I'm going to be a vegetarian. Every red flag in my mind went off. Like, this is like terrifying.
It's a trend. It's just what everybody's doing. She doesn't understand it yet.
Yeah, I was like, not going to, no. That was a no, hard no. And so the thing I said to her was, Sophia, you don't actually have to label. You can have a vegetarian meal, but you don't have to be a vegetarian. And if you call yourself a vegetarian, people are going to be really shocked when you eat steak. And so you don't have to have steak, but you also don't have to tell people the way that you're eating.
Right.
No, it's nobody's business.
Yeah, it's like when they put it on their bio, on their IG, and it says, vegan, vegetarian. It's like it's already a label, and everybody
Plant-based
assumes.
diet.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And then it's like I have to. You're like, now I'm meeting your expectations. I don't get to change.
That's so powerful because I feel like in that sense, it feels like we are all putting ourselves in a box in some shape, way, or form.
Yeah, we don't allow ourselves to be that mysterious person.
Instead of being like water,
like
where we can fill a void, and it's in that moment we're
adaptability.
Like, exactly, but that's
like an ego-based thinking, right? Like we all have labels. I'm a mom, sister, dietitian, daughter, whatever I am. Those are your expectations of me. But like my authentic soul self is I get to be anything I want in this moment. I'm still a good person. I'm going to treat everyone with kindness and respect. But don't tell me how I need to be in this moment or how to eat.
I feel like that happened with like the vegan culture. Sometimes I felt like it almost felt like they were shunning you if you still eat meat. And that's why some people got turned off by it because, but then like our last week's guest, he was so humble about it that I didn't feel that from him. You know what I'm saying? But I have felt other people that, what, you're eating that again? Like, you know what that does to you? And I'm just like, well, this is what I eat. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Or when I was younger, they try to force you with the videos, and they put you the videos, and they're like, "Look what's happening," and watch all these videos, and you're like,
and that traumatizes us.
But going back to dieting, that you brought up, I just want to know, like, what's the difference between when you talk about diet and then you call it food freedom? What is it that you're trying to get at, in making that distinction?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why don't you guys define diet for me?
I mean, usually the way that I've heard it,
restrictions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not. If you look up the definition, it's actually lifestyle. It's the way that a person eats. And so the word diet is not a bad word. And like we could do a whole podcast on the way people feel about the word.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a bad word. It's like my lifestyle versus your lifestyle. And food freedom is, why should you worry about what anyone else is saying or thinking, right? Normal eating is eating when you're hungry, stopping when you had enough, and trusting that there will be more. It's like this morning you woke up and you did not think, oh my God, I'm going to have to pee 6 times today. Where am I going to find those toilets? No, you left the house fully feeling safe and trusting that it would happen. It might get uncomfortable. But then it happens, the time passes, and you totally forget that you were uncomfortable. But when it comes to food, people totally are like, I'm going out for dinner next Thursday, and I'm like afraid I'm going to overeat. What? Right. You don't even know if you're going to be hungry in that meal.
Wow.
You don't even know, like, that meal might even change. Why don't we trust hunger the same way that we trust our bladders? I'm going to have to pee again. I'm going to have to eat again. I had 21 meals this week. I had 10,900 meals last year. I can't remember any of them.
Yeah.
Because it's like something that you do. It's like breathing. You do it subconsciously. Like
because that is 100%. Like, you don't tell your body to think, to breathe, to digest, and our mind produces 60,000 thoughts just to keep us safe. And so sometimes people use, like, if I were to think shopping is a good idea or food is a good idea, that's my mind remembering that the last time I felt discomfort in my chest, I ate, and it totally relieved me of the stress I was feeling.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
All right. So you're not against the word. You're just trying to think of a more
Trying to educate
healthy, more healthy way a person can think about it, because sometimes there's a lot of negative connotation attached to the word dieting. Correct.
That's it. Like, why does there have to be? And like, even the word healthy, like, if we look at the rule number 2 says eat what you love, and there's no like healthy or unhealthy, right? Or should or shouldn't. What would people eat? I mean, I just have a client who recently lost 12 pounds eating pastries for the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
there
wow.
are such things as cookie diets, right? You could just eat shake. It doesn't matter what you eat, as long as you're consistent, eating only as much as your body needs, and trusting your body. Yeah.
Everybody is different. Everybody's going to eat.
Every body is different, but every body is the same. And the reality is, there was a study done where I think it was like, this is probably going back 25 years ago, but almost like 1,000 prisoners in solitary confinement. They were allowed 30 minutes of physical activity every single day, and they increased their calories for 1 year by 500 calories a day for 1 year. And at the end of the year, only 3 out of 1,000 prisoners gained weight, because what they found is that if you are consistent, your body gives up what you don't need. So if you overeat on Monday, undereat on Tuesday, overeat on Wednesday, overeat on Thursday, your body's so inconsistent that it thinks it needs to store everything. But if you can get it to trust you, and you eat every 2.5, 3 hours, your body gives up what you don't need.
Interesting. So I got a couple of things from that. Number one, they're experimenting on prisoners. Number two, I heard consistency and what you eat is more, as long as you're consistent. There's this very famous documentary that came out probably, I want to say 10 years ago now. It's called Super Size Me, where this guy eats.
Oh my God. No?
Sorry, what would you say? Sorry?
20 years ago, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago.
We're
getting old. Brother.
Yeah, so the whole thing for our audience, this guy eats McDonald's all 3 meals for 30 days straight.
Yeah, right here.
And then at the end, he sees what happens to his body, that stuff. So I think some certain things are going on in his body that he had to take care of. But when we're talking about consistency, do you even mean it to that level where it's like junk food consistency, or is it where, you need to be consistently healthier, if that makes sense? I know we're kind of not trying to go with that taboo, but...
No, it is both ways. But I think we have to go back to Super Size Me for 1 second. Just so you know, he was a vegan and he was a runner. And he decided to adopt the American lifestyle, which was 3,000 steps. And he did what every American did at McDonald's. And McDonald's, if they asked him to supersize, he would. So he was inconsistent. So he was eating, maybe supersizing breakfast, maybe not supersizing lunch, supersizing dinner, right? Every day of the week, different. Okay, so he went from vegan to sedentary lifestyle, supersizing the majority of his meals. Totally inconsistent, right? Stored, and then he ended up with high cholesterol, because we can change our health patterns and our life in 2 or 3 days. Food takes 3 days to process. So if we overeat on Sunday, like if you ever were going to weigh yourself, Monday's the worst day to do it, because people tend to have saltier foods over the weekend and weigh more on Monday. So the best day of the week, if you were going to weigh yourself, would be Thursday, because it takes 3 days to process. But back to the consistency. So let's say you eat a diet that's like all chips and trans fats and high cholesterol. You can expect to see, your health, all of your blood tests resembling that. If you eat plant-based, you can imagine that you wouldn't have high cholesterol, because there's no saturated fat, right? So I think if you're asking, does your diet control the way you're going to feel? Yeah, it does. But I don't know if that was the question. Was that the question?
No, I mean, I was just relating the consistency to that because, my head is like he's consistently eating McDonald's every day,
That's me.
all day.
That's me, though.
So my whole thing was, is that consistent? But now I understand the
It's
consistency
the
you're
meal
talking about.
size. The consistency is on the meal
He
size.
switched his lifestyle completely from being vegan and a runner to just, McDonald's all day, every day. And then there was also supersized, not supersized. So now I get the breakdown of what consistency you mean. So, for me, like just put on my plate, I had abandoned like rice for a while and it was just protein and vegetables for the longest. And I got used to it at some point and I've gone away from it. But I can see what you mean. When it was consistently just going on for a month, I felt really good. And now that I'm not doing that, I don't know if it's because of that I feel sluggish about things, but it's just very interesting that you talk about that consistency. And
but tell me the sluggish.
The sluggish, it's the morning. It's the getting out of bed and getting started, if I will.
Yeah. So talk to me about sleep. Do you fall asleep?
Fall asleep? What? Sorry.
You fall asleep easily?
Yeah, pretty easily.
Can you stay asleep?
I get that 4 a.m. wake up, if you know what I mean. That everybody wakes up at 4 a.m. That's like every day for me consistently,
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. If we just stick to that word consistent, your body wants to go to sleep at the same time every night and it wants to wake up at the same time every night. So it's basically sleep is a habit, which is interesting. If you're getting a 4 a.m. spike or you're waking up and you're fully alert, ready for your day, you definitely need to take some vitamins that are going to help with adrenal support because your stress hormone is high, which either you're drinking too much coffee or you're a little stressed out and you need to relax your nervous system. So I would
no coffee.
What?
I don't drink any coffee.
Okay, what about tea or anything with caffeine?
Starbucks every now and then, but not like consistently every day,
Yeah. How's your stress level right now?
Be honest.
Declining, but it was at a pretty high level. I'll be totally honest with you.
Yeah. So I would remember that like your subconscious is always listening and taking notes. So if you say you're a bad sleeper, then it's just going to conspire to make that happen. So I would, when you're about to go to sleep, put your sleeping mind on, right? Like, okay, I don't need to be worrying about the world problems right now. I need to be getting a good night's sleep. So sleeping mind on, and then tell yourself you're a good sleeper. And then I would also like practice maybe or talk to your doctor and get a blood test and just see if your cortisol levels are high because you definitely need to get those numbers down. And so I'm glad that your stress is going down, but you probably need a little support.
Which level was that you said?
Cortisol. So cortisol, it's your morning hormone. It's the one that wakes you up, tells you it's ready for the day to start, and yours is spiking at 4 a.m.
So I have a question.
And so just a quick trick to help you in the morning is the second you get out of bed, even though you're tired and sluggish, do a 5-minute HIIT class. Just quick little jumping jacks, and it basically tells your body this is the time to wake up. And then if you're still not sleeping through the night, don't do a hardcore workout. Do more like a yoga, Pilates, low impact until you get your circadian rhythms back to normal.
Interesting. That's going to help out. I can see why that might be might be affecting it, but thank you very much. Something I did see on your website though is, and we're talking about it, how it shouldn't be a stress, the relationship with food and whatnot.
Sorry, my dog is snoring.
Oh no, I didn't hear that. But yeah, I think that's a very important thing because I think that it's not only a stress but a pressure of what to eat. Sometimes you have a short time for lunch, and if you didn't pack anything, which is most likely going to be a healthier option if you pack something from home, you're pressured with all these options, and especially when keeping it consistent. What would you say would be your advice with that, with managing the stress and the pressure of what to eat for lunch, when you have a short amount of time? Because I think that's also a big thing we're talking about, the mental state and all that,
Yeah, I want to just talk about hunger real quick. And, hunger is a very good sign. It means your body is functioning. And go back to like having to pee. If you didn't have to pee, you'd probably call the doctor, right? And so hunger is also a sign that your body is working properly. And knowing that we get hungry as a way to fuel our bodies is important. We want to be hungry 5 times a day, pretty much. And knowing this means that you need to plan for food. So no matter what your day looks like, you either need to have something in your car, or you need to Postmates or Instacart. I don't care how you get it delivered, or you make food, but you have to have food, right? We get hungry. So we have to plan some way that we're taken care of in that day. You wouldn't send a kid to school without lunch, but, you would definitely head out of the, for your day without food, and that makes no sense to me. So a good way to take care of your body and to be consistent is to make sure that you have a plan. And truly, your body doesn't know what you're eating. It doesn't. And so it doesn't know you're eating McDonald's. And if McDonald's isn't making you sick, good for you. Right? McDonald's might make me sick. I mean, blueberries give me diarrhea. I know it's totally too much information for you, but like what's healthy to someone else is not healthy to me.
Enzo would ask you what color it is, but no, we're not gonna ask that.
Honestly, I asked that. I did that last week because he's a vegan and like. But to be honest, like my question was another question I had about it because this is very informative. I don't know if you guys are getting a lot out of this.
I am,
but I'm getting so much value out of this. Thank you, Kim, for being on this and like you're a godsend. Because now my next question is, what do you correlate anger to food?
Again, are we talking about you?
Yeah, because I feel like I just been like my wife's been telling me like, and I've been very open to her criticism as of late, especially now that I'm getting sober and stuff. And like just because also her opinion matters a lot to me. So if she's saying like you're being snappy or you have a temperament or it's like I don't take it like personal as much as anymore. I look at it like, okay, I need to work on this. And then last time she was like, we need to stop eating as much red meat because maybe that's why you're always getting snappy or you get angry, and I'm like, is that really real? Or because I try to eat chickens too, but it's like she's like, nah, we eat a lot of like tacos and then we eat the steak the next day, and she's like, maybe that's why you don't. And I'm like, I have to only wonder now that you're here, like, is anger and what you eat correlated also?
There was that movie a long time ago called Chocolat. You guys are probably all too young for it. But what happened was the chef was falling in love. And as she was falling in love, all of those emotions started going into the food. And the next thing you know, like the entire city is like displaying this like mood. And then they break up. And then all of a sudden her mood changes. And now all you see are the people starting to feel anger and pain. So what's interesting is that, you could go to your favorite restaurant, get the same meal, and it could taste different, maybe because of the mood the chef is in. So yes, there is that, but also I am curious about your reaction time. And if you're very good at learning how to remain unaffected by the moment you're in.
I'm very... my dad always tells me, my family's always told me I'm very impulsive when it comes to like I just snap sometimes. And I'm now that like for like when I was like on the addiction, and even before that, I was like, that's me, you gotta accept it. Like that's just who I am, right?
That's me in shopping. Leave me alone.
Right. Like, whoever is gonna marry, I would always tell my mom, whoever is gonna marry me is gonna deal with that side of me, like whatever, right? But now that I'm married and I'm like, okay, I can't be this person. And then now I have I'm about to have my third child too. So one day I heard my son say, why is that mad? Why is that always mad? Or and I was like, that was like a huge red flag that I'm like you just said, those first 7 years. And I'm like, I cannot have my son thinking that I'm like a grumpy old dad. Like, that's not what I'm trying to like portray. Because I feel like I'm a happy dude, but it's like there's little irritants. So I'm like wondering if
he has easy triggers, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, but I'm like,
so how does he change that?
He has hot buttons all over the place. So first, recognize them, and then start laughing at yourself and start learning how to remain unaffected, right?
Damn.
Like what I do with my clients is I work on the space between the thought to eat and the action to eat. So it would be the same thing. You'd be working on the space between the thought to react and then the overreaction. And so what you really need to be doing is practicing meditation and deep breathing. And like I would, when you take a deep breath, I'm just going to walk you through it because a lot of people don't know how to do it right.
Let's do it.
You put your hand on your chest and your other hand on your stomach. And when you take a deep breath, it's almost like you're breathing so much in that your stomach expands.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure that your shoulders don't lift and that your chest doesn't go out.
So
that
breathe in
kind
for
of
your
deep
diaphragm.
breath. I'm sorry, I missed you.
So breathe in from your diaphragm, like
breathing from your diaphragm.
Gotcha.
And then practicing this, that actually relaxes your nervous system. And that's what you need. So you need to be practicing deep breaths. Like people who like cigarettes probably really love the deep breath. They go out, they relax because they've just taken 10 deep breaths.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally have to smoke a little bit of weed sometimes. Like my wife would be like, "Go smoke," because you're. And last time I was talking to John Sally, and he was telling me like that's why you liked smoking so much, because that relaxes you. And I'm like, one day I was like thinking, and I was like, it's so true. It's not even the action of smoking. So maybe I need, because I've been wanting to cut that down too, but maybe I need to start meditating and just figuring out those.
So you need some aromatherapy. You need to keep it in your pocket.
Oh,
and you need to pull it out as often as possible and just inhale like slow, deep breaths to relax your nervous system. And then there's like a couple other things you can do. You can gargle with water. You can hum. And also, you know the word Om they use in yoga? When you say it, like say it now, but carry it for a long time. And then I want you to feel the vibration.
The frequency. Yeah, right.
So say Om. I can't. I lost audio for a second.
Right. I feel that. No, the frequency, yeah.
Yeah, so that actually relaxes your whole nervous system. Our nervous system is the only system in our body we can control. And basically, it's through the vagus nerve, and that runs from your stomach to your mind. And basically, your stomach gives your mind 80% of its information. So I would probably work on taking some vitamins to make sure you're not having any deficiencies from the type of diet that you have.
Sure.
I would also look at the triggers you feel around food and start breathing into it. And also like let yourself be uncomfortable. Like what would be the worst thing that happens if you're uncomfortable around food?
Right.
Nothing.
Now it's funny. No, nothing's going to happen.
Since we're on this topic, this brings up our next question, which was, how does food affect your mental health?
Yeah.
If you can elaborate, I know that you've already kind of addressed it with Enzo, but if you can elaborate it more in a broader sense for us, we would appreciate it.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think people overthink about food. I think it causes people just to spiral and feel hopeless. So when there's just so many opportunities, I mean, I don't even know where to go with that question. Is there a relationship? Yeah, there is a relationship. And does there have to be? No. I don't know if that answered your question, but I just feel like people should stop worrying what other people think, focus on themselves, learn how to pay attention to their hunger, right? Because if you're not getting hungry and you're eating, you're storing whatever you're eating as fat. And that could be strawberries or it could be ice cream. Your body doesn't know. And so if you're not hungry, whatever you're eating gets stored as fat.
It's like those people that in the office like eat snacks just to eat snacks because they're stressing out. That's kind of what you're referring to, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so like in my opinion, as a registered dietitian with a degree in human metabolism and clinical nutrition, I want to make everybody healthy, right? Which means they have long-term health. They live long lives that are high quality, that they don't have disease. The disease that they have later in life are all diet dependent: cholesterol, diabetes, high triglycerides, and blood pressure, right? We're talking heart disease, stroke, and diabetes, all diet dependent. And so if you were to think about eating only when you're hungry, and then you allow yourself only to eat enough to get hungry again in 2.5 to 3 hours, which is what a normal person should do, right? I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to need a snack. I'm going to have lunch. I'm going to need a snack, and I'm going to have dinner, right? I'm going to eat 5 times today. And if I have enough food that's going to hold me over and fuel my body and allow me to be hungry in 3 hours, I'm basically now controlling my blood sugars. And by doing that, I'm reducing my risk of every single disease by 30%. So are we still talking about mental health?
That's incredible.
I just want everyone to be healthy.
Right. And question, what about like somebody like I've fluctuated in weight. Like when I was in high school, my highest was 135, 137, and then I just got weighed I had a physical, so I'm waiting on my blood results too. So I'm very interested in to see those levels and what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
So and then the question is, how do you like maintain a health, or is there such thing as a healthy weight? Because like I'm like once they said 117 and I'm like, dang, I want to gain like at least get to 130 but and have some muscle, and I'm like, I can't gain weight. And my wife's I'm 5'5".
I didn't hear you. 5'5"?
5'5", yeah.
Okay, so you really should be like 135 plus or minus 10%. So you can be anywhere between, I can't do the math, 120 and 145, 150 would be an ideal weight. I care less about the number on the scales. I care more about the body fat percentage. And so, I mean, you probably have a lean body fat. Like Kobe Bryant in his heyday was 3%. Whoa. Men should typically be under 18%. Yeah. You have a question. Like, I see you.
I'm probably, I mean, what do you think, Mauricio? I think
Bro, I don't see no body
fat.
My
bones.
Raw bones.
my girl says like, to be TMI, she's like, your butt's the only jiggly part. So I guess that's the only part I got the meat on. You know what I'm saying? Like
everything is bones.
Yeah, right. I'm just very skinny, but like I trip out because when I was in high school and I was on the basketball team and I was like active, working out and all that. It was like I said, I remember the last time that I was like proud of myself because my best friend was like, I'm 150 something. And I'm like trying to get to 140 and I'm like 137 is the most I got. And then straight after high school, it like started just cutting hair and I started eating like crap. And I'm like, I guess it's because I eat a lot of junk food. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And like now that I have kids, I'm like, I'm trying to get away from that because I have kids. But and then
also you lost 15 pounds of muscle. You went from basketball to haircutting.
Right.
And I would definitely work on building that back up.
And that's just basically working out. Lifting weights will build the muscle. It's not even about eating at that point, right?
No, but what might be interesting for you is it will make you hungrier.
Oh.
And then you're going to have to deal with like you being triggered by food, which is a good thing for you to deal with. It'd be nice for you to get uncomfortable and see like, this is actually no big deal. I'm not who I used to be. Right?
Yeah, because like my meal, like I have this weird thing that sometimes spoils my dinner. I'll come home and I have to have like some sweets. So I have like a glass of chocolate milk and some chocolate cookies or some like, and my wife will be like, why do you do that to yourself? Then when it's time for dinner, you don't want to eat. And then I don't know why I do that to myself, but that's like after a long day of cutting hair, like I want to eat. I'm looking forward to that glass of milk with Hostess donuts. And I
think that's also leads us to our other question too of listening to our body, I think. So what would you say about that? I mean, is Enzo listening to his body or is he just being impulsive?
I think two things are happening. I think he's got this entitlement thing. Like I had a hard day. I want something sweet right now. And also he's got a sugar addiction.
I do.
So, I think that if you really wanted to gain weight, you got to eat when you're not hungry. Unfortunately, that's the way it works because you have to like train your body to get hungrier. And so you're going to have to get, again, uncomfortable. And I don't know if you like to be uncomfortable. It's not really super uncomfortable, but our bodies always are looking for the more pleasurable way around discomfort.
I feel like I've built my life around trying to facilitate not being uncomfortable. Like I've built it to where it's like I'm gonna do what I want to do on my terms. But now like just being older and I just went to get a physical and I spoke to my doctor and she likes where my headspace is at, especially after my addiction and everything. And I'm like I said, it's just like the stars aligning that you're on our podcast today, and now I get to ask questions that she couldn't answer because she's not a nutritionist. But so I just need to work out then, bet.
But when it comes to listening to your body, I know a lot of people struggle with this too, is getting hungry right when you're trying to go to sleep or right when you're in that and I've also heard that that's really bad because the way your body digests food and whatnot, you need to give it 4 hours or something like that before you sleep. But you're the expert here, so let us know what do you think is the problem there when people are getting hungry right before they're going to sleep?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question because hunger is not a scary feeling. It's not painful. And it's usually just your stomach telling you it's time to eat, right? But people say they get starving before bed. And I think this is more a habit, a bad habit, right? And so are they really hungry, or did they smoke weed and now they have munchies?
Yep.
Or they are used to eating something, and our body is habitual, remember? So if you ate last night, it likes to get the same amount of food in weight that you had yesterday. And so you kind of have to do this mental ping pong with yourself and say, I'm not hungry enough that it's going to keep me up. I'm going to let myself go to sleep and I'll be hungry for breakfast.
Yeah.
There are nights when you're too hungry and you can't go to sleep. But again, back to Enzo, like, people don't like to be uncomfortable. And so there becomes this fearful moment of like, I'm not going to be able to sleep if I'm hungry. But the hunger is probably not super real. Sometimes it is, but you are not hungry every night before bed. No way. Our hunger
just drink
changes.
some water, man.
And so I would just say to yourself, I'm going to bed.
What about waking up like at 4 a.m, like my brother does sometimes, and just wanting like thirst for a Coke? That happens to me a lot. I'm like,
You're a sugar addict. We already established that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that just that my body's like, feeding for like sugar? All right, cool. Bet.
I mean, usually when I'm feeling like that, like the hunger before sleeping, I just drink water. I'm like, water will calm me down, like it just needs water. And usually that makes it go away. It's not really that you're hungry. It's just,
you're thirsty. That's what I've heard about that too.
Yeah.
Is that we confuse our hunger for thirst. Is that something true?
If you look at rule number 3, it says eat without distractions, right? And so people eat because food is in front of them because of emotional reasons and for hunger. And so if you're talking about late night eating, most people are bored. And so that, again, is discomfort. And so your mind says the last time you felt this way, you ate while you were watching TV and you didn't feel this bad. And so you have to kind of remember, put space between the thought to eat and the action to eat, and really scan your body and see what you're feeling. Can you be okay to be bored and not eat, right? So don't eat while you're distracted, period. That's like the, really hard rule for people to do.
When you talk about distractions, sorry to interrupt you. When you talk about distractions, you mean also the people that like maybe they watch TV while they eat? Like say they're having lunch and they're watching TV. You would think of that as a like not a good habit to have?
It's a terrible habit. Like, I'm a super mindful person, and like, let's just define mindful, right?
Okay.
Means that I am aware that my mind has left my body. Maybe some hot button of mine has been triggered, and my mind is now thinking about a conversation I had yesterday. And so I have the ability to bring my mind back to this moment, right? I can find my mind. I know what time zone my mind is in at all times. Sometimes it goes on a conversation I had 3 days ago, and then I say to myself, what time zone is my body in? And I recognize it's here, but my mind is over there, and I bring it back. So if I am eating, I'm also fully aware what my mind is doing, and I know when I've had enough food. So if we go back to rule number 1, it says eat when you're hungry. There were 2 other parts that I didn't say, and that was start with your normal portion and cut it in half and wait 15 minutes to see if you need more. Because the truth is, we overeat. It takes 15 minutes for our stomach to tell our brain we've had enough food. I could overeat all of my food in 3 minutes when I'm really hungry, still giving me a good 11 minutes before my brain says you've had enough. If I were to cut my food in half and wait 15 minutes, really I'm not going to need more food because I'm going to be nourished, and I know I'm going to eat again in 2.5, 3 hours.
Is that the reason also too? Because this has happened to me too, like where like you eat a big portion and then in a few, like, how you're saying 15 minutes later on, you feel like, oh man, I really overate. Like that was too much. Like,
right. I mean, let me put it this way. I have 6 rules. If you follow all 6 rules at 90%, the average client loses between 3 and 5 pounds a week. If you follow the rules at 80%, they lose between 0.5 pound and 1.5 pounds a week. If they follow all 6 rules at 70%, they're staying the same weight. And at 60%, they're gaining weight. And so by only eating when you're hungry, allowing yourself to get hungry in your stomach, starting with half and waiting 15 minutes, there's a built-in fail-safe that you will not overeat. I had a client who was in this class, it's called advisory in her private school, and every single day the instructor brought donut holes. And she was the kind of person who popped a donut hole in her mouth. And when I thought about it, I'm the kind of person who takes like 2 or 3 bites of a donut hole. So by the time I'm done with 1, she's eaten 3. If we can slow down, then our mind tells us we've had enough. And if we're mindful, we know where our mind is, which Enzo gets triggered. So I'm not sure his mind is in his body when he's eating because he just wants the fuel and doesn't want to be in the moment, right? But if we can be in the moment and find our mind, we're going to know that we've had enough food and that we're nourished.
Interesting. Also, this one thing that happens to a lot of us, I feel, and I don't know if it's just us being tired throughout the day, but it happens to me a lot, especially after lunch, is the infamous food coma.
Yeah, you're sluggish a lot. We're going to work on this, but you're making poor choices because you're tired. So we're going to work on your sleep for sure. But the second thing you're going to do for me is a food sensitivity test.
Okay.
And you can put this on Amazon. So I don't know where you're going to put this, but you can link it somewhere. It's a very good test. Okay. And what this tells us is it's specific to you and what foods you're sensitive to. And you might have like your lunches, like whatever you're eating. And so it's causing fatigue. And so you might need to find new foods you love temporarily.
I got it. Because I'm a big chicken eater. So anytime I eat some chicken, it puts me to sleep, to be honest. Not to sleep, but I feel sluggish for sure.
Yeah. So there's like a whole slew of digestive issues, and fatigue and sluggishness is one of them. So I would avoid the foods you know make you tired for a little while, and then work on healing your gut by adding some whole grains, some flax seeds, some chia seeds,
Yeah, that also happens to me, but that happens when I eat it's usually a plate of steak with potatoes and rice. And I already know that. When I have that for lunch, that I've, prepared that, I know, like, this is going to put me in, like, a little coma,
Okay, so what you're going to try is you're going to try eating half of that and see if it still makes you feel that way. If it does, then one of those foods are something that you're sensitive to, and you have to cut them out for a short while.
Understood.
So then you're going to play around with just the steak, then just the potatoes, and then just the rice.
So play us through this food sensitivity thing. What happens what does that test kind of reveal, and what's the process of it?
Well, like I said, I had no idea why I would get stomach aches, and then all of a sudden blueberries was on my list, and I was like, oh, makes so much sense, right? So what you do is you prick your finger, and then you do these little 5 droplets, and then you send this test back to, whatever warehouse it comes from, and then 5 days later you get a specific list only for you. And some people might have 2 foods, some people might have 50 foods, It's a test of 96 different foods. In order to really understand, I'm going to run through the list of symptoms that it gives you, okay?
Okay.
Headache, fatigue, tearing eyes, runny nose, clearing your throat, burping, heartburn, nausea, bloating, diarrhea, gas, constipation. It's smelly gas, not air gas, rashes, and joint pain. Any of those are food sensitivities, and that means that you've had a history of stress or antibiotic use, or somehow did some damage to the mucosal layer of your stomach lining, and you just need to rebuild it and remove some of those foods that are causing a inflammatory response for a short while.
Interesting. Okay. So
I have a question for you, Kim. When it comes to vitamins, which ones do you recommend, like, they're most important?
For Enzo.
For all of us.
For Enzo.
For my type of person.
Okay, we're going to go.
I'm the guinea pig. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, because I was going to ask that question, Byron, so I appreciate you asking that question.
Yeah, because I struggle
I
myself.
don't know your full diet. I'm going to go with minerals.
Oh, I'm going to DM you, and we're going to get this thing. Because I have my wife's also pregnant, and she's expecting in August. So we've been talking about, like, she says, this is my last baby. I'm going to tie my tubes. And she's like, I want to snap back. And I'm like, whoa, if you follow these 6 rules, we're going to lose some weight in weeks. So let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm definitely be in contact with you.
So you said minerals were the first one, right?
Talking about Enzo, I would do some minerals, because if his diet is, let's say, mostly McDonald's, and I'm going to put air quotes around the word picky, because I think you can change. I know you can. But if in the past you were restricted, then you definitely need minerals. You probably need some vitamins. I like that you're drinking milk, because then you're getting calcium and some vitamin D. I would also definitely encourage you to go for walks outside. I think he just needs vitamins and minerals. I think, all of you guys need different ones. I mean, for sleep, you need magnesium, coenzyme Q10, and B12, because we need to work on your nervous system. Maybe something with your adrenals.
What was that middle one? Magnesium, and then you said another one?
coenzyme Q10,
Okay. And then
and a B
B12.
complex.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all, I probably wouldn't recommend the same ones for everyone. And again, these would not be forever. These would just be dependent on what symptoms you're feeling in this moment and what you need. But like in Enzo's case, if he's talking about anger and stress, it could be, his body is working overtime because he has some nutrient deficiencies. So folic acid, iron,
Definitely.
some other things.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah. But, water, we didn't really talk about water, and we should, because it is the way that our body naturally detoxes. It works on every single organ.
Oh.
And actually, if you don't drink enough water, you tend to gain an extra 7 pounds in your lifetime because it makes your liver ends up having to do your kidneys' jobs. And so you end up storing fat and getting fatter and getting sicker. But by drinking 8 cups of water, it actually fights fatigue. So 1% dehydration makes you feel like you have the flu. So drink your water.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've implemented. So at the beginning of this year, I decided to, start getting into the gym and working out. I started weighing at 315. Right now I'm weighing 294. And that's one of the things that I did was the only thing I drink is just water now. I don't drink any sugary drinks, no soda, nothing. When it comes to my eating, I'm still working that out. But yeah, that's one of the things I've been doing, and I've been seeing the huge difference on just drinking just water and nothing else.
All right, so I got to ask you before he continues that. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but we have a Vegas trip later on in the year, and we have a goal to get this guy to 250. So we have to adjust that at some point if water is going to help us get there too. Sorry, I just had to say that because I think you can help us get there.
250?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal I've set for him. If he has a better goal, then that's cool.
But, how tall are you?
I am 5'10".
Okay, so, when's the trip?
September.
So how many months do we have?
June, July, August, yeah.
So you're talking, the max I would say is 30 pounds, just so you know. Maybe 35, 36. Anything else higher than that is not great for your gallbladder. So you can average 10, 11, or 12 pounds a month. That's it, max. And that's great. And that will already be life-changing. I would do my rules at 90%. It will change your life. It will change your life. So you might, let's say you started tomorrow and you just started eating half of your normal portions, but you started eating every 3 hours. You probably will lose 5 pounds in a week.
Okay.
You'll have to let me know.
Okay. From your rules and everything you've said, I think the major one is sleep. For me especially.
Can you fall asleep?
I tend to not fall asleep very fast. But my sleeping hour, it varies. My waking up hour, however, doesn't vary too much. So I usually wake up around 6:30 every day because that's just I got to get to work. My body already knows that. But when it comes to sleeping, sometimes there's days I sleep at 11:30. There's days I sleep at midnight, 1 a.m. That varies.
Yeah, you can't fall asleep, or because you just want to stay awake and do things.
Sometimes it's because I'm doing something, watching something, talking to someone, so yeah.
What time are you going to the gym these days?
Usually 7:30. Yeah, and then we're done by around
10. Morning or?
No, at night.
Oh, you've got to change it to the morning.
Okay.
It's like I said, if you do that 5-minute HIIT class in the morning, it tells your body when to wake up. You're telling your body to wake up at 7:30 at night. And then you're missing your natural sleep time.
Gotcha.
And if you're not sleeping, if you're inconsistent, you'll have a harder time losing weight. And if you're tired, you're going to have a hard time making the right decisions the next day.
Okay.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. Because we hit the gym 7:30 p.m. and then we're usually done by like around 9:30.
I've always been more of a. I always tell Mauricio like I rather work out in the morning. I feel like working out in the morning gets me tired. By the time at night, I've had the long day already after the gym, and I'm pooped. But I can't keep that consistency in the gym. That's the only issue.
I think, but it's okay what we're eating, and I think it's all like you
It's
like
all
to
connected,
say, it's all
man.
connected.
You know why I like to say that because it is all connected. Like subconscious,
but let's
your
bring
mind,
that connection back though to the water, because I'm sorry.
We gotta talk about that. My wife's always telling me to drink more water, and I never drink enough water. I mean, I try, but these rules are they seem simple to follow, to be honest.
Simple. Yeah, they're layered with all of our emotional garbage. And like also you can reinvent yourself right this moment. Remember, we get to be anything we want from here on out. I don't have to be who I was a minute ago. And I think like that should be a better attitude for you anyway. And also we're not looking for perfect because we want this to be a very long journey. So we really are looking for progress. So even like rule number 5 or 4 says walk 10,000 steps. If you look on your phone under the health app, it's been tracking you this whole time. And you can kind of see, oh, wow, I'm only at 3,000. I'm only at 4,000. I really need to make sure that I'm hitting 10. That might feel very daunting. So maybe you just start with 6 or 6,500, but you keep adding because, again, you're looking for progress.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. And do you stick to the 8 glasses a day theory, or do you think it depends on the person, or what is your recommendation?
No, yes, it depends on the person. I think that's a really good number to shoot for, no matter what. But if like you're in Arizona, you need like 15. If I drink a ton of coffee, I definitely need more like 12. So for every 20 pounds overweight, you need 2 additional cups. For every 1 cup of coffee, you need 2 additional cups.
So what about?
So if you're doing great.
So if I drink a lot of soda, does that mean I have to drink more water then? Like, because I drink a lot of soda.
Yeah, and like it's
Yeah, he's drinking Coca-Cola
some of the
right
things
now.
are like, fine, but whatever, as you get older, you might notice like, oh, that caffeine is affecting my kidneys and that's affecting my blood pressure. And I don't really want to put myself at risk for a stroke, right? And so the water detoxifies every single toxin in your body. So soda is great and delicious, but not serving the same purpose. If you look just Earth or the world or our bodies, we're 70-80% water.
Yeah.
So get the water in, replenish the water. You're losing it through saliva, through sweat, through urine, through feces. Like, drink up.
Definitely.
And plus, the soda, pulls out calcium from your bones. And being lean already puts you at risk for, problems with your bones. So make sure you're doing weightlifting and keep drinking that milk. Although all of your calcium stores were done by the time you were 21, and now you're just kind of maintaining them for the rest of your life. Right? You're no longer making deposits, and every time you drink soda, it leaches calcium out of your bones.
Wow, that's incredible. So one thing that I want to add is, or ask better said, is we always say the 8 glasses of water a day. But what would be a better like number? Is it like a gallon of water a day when we're equaling it to 8 glasses at least?
Quarter of a gallon. A gallon is 16 cups.
Okay.
So a half a gallon. Yeah, sorry. Half a gallon for sure.
Got it. All right. So that's going to be my aim.
For 64 ounces. Yeah.
Okay. That's
it's not easy. None of these rules are so easy. They just sound so simple.
I think they're easy.
Okay, let's see. All right, let's see.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah, we'll see.
The reason she says that is because she knows how many clients actually stick to it.
I feel like
That's why she
you're
says
right.
that.
8 cups. Okay, how big is the 8 cups? Like this cup?
She's told you 64 ounces.
I think that's probably like 10. Yeah. I don't know. That could be 10 ounces right there.
Okay.
Could be 12. You have to let me know. He's showing like one of those red plastic cups.
Yeah. Beer
Solo
pong. It's a
cups.
beer pong cup. Yeah, so that's not enough water. All right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, kind of, since you said you have clients and all that, and we know that you're, from what I saw in your bio, you're a celebrity dietitian as well, right? So, does that mean you're helping people out for roles in movies or things like that?
Yes. All the above. Yeah. I've been in Los Angeles my whole life. So my practice is based in Los Angeles, but I see clients all over the world, wherever they are. And I have a full practice. I see about 50 private clients a week. I lead groups and, a ton. All kinds of people.
How did that door open up for you, if you don't mind us asking?
Very early in my career. I mean, I think just being in Los Angeles helps. And then, I was friends with publicists early on when I was younger, and their clients needed help, or agents. When in LA, it's like if I was in Washington, D.C., I'd be seeing everyone in the CIA, FBI, and the newspaper. But here in Los Angeles, everybody works in Hollywood. So, it's just normal and easy, I think.
And this includes also not just celebrities. We're talking about athletes too. I know they're celebrities technically, but like athletes as well and things like that.
Yes. So, all the above. And children.
We're very big basketball guys here, and also UFC guys. So I want to ask two things, and it has to do with weight cutting. And for example, we have a very famous basketball player right now. His name's Zion Williamson, and his big issue is that you could say overweight. For the sport he's about to play, he's extremely overweight. Takes a toll on the knees, and he can make him very injury prone. So for someone like that needs to lean up, or for someone like, for example, in MMA or UFC that they need to cut weight to get to their championship weight or whatever it is, because they're walking around at a certain weight and they need to cut down at a certain weight. Like, is there a certain healthy way to do that in a certain time lapse, or is there a way you need to get your body eased into that weight, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I am the kind of person who always believes that you should be, your body should be beach ready at any time. Like, there shouldn't be getting ready for a wedding or getting ready for a sports event, that you should be ready at all times. Otherwise, it creates yo-yo issues, and that yo-yo is inconsistency, and that increases your risks of all sorts of diseases. So, I know that wrestling and UFC, and there is cutting. It's definitely not something that I would recommend ever. I just like people to preserve what they've worked hard for.
Wow. Yeah, because that's hurting your body, right? Every time you weight cut, you're traumatizing your body in a sense.
I think that's the biggest toll for a fighter. It's not the fights. I think it's the weight cutting. Going from, let's say, 170 pounds to 155 pounds in a matter of a 6-week training camp or something like that.
Yeah, and we're really talking water here, right? And like, when you think about it, like I said, if you're 1% dehydrated, you're fatigued. Wow. But I mean, I guess with UFC, you kind of have to have that. That's part of like the whole the system, right? It's not what I would recommend. Have you dealt with any athletes at that level where it's either like someone, like I said, like some kind of athlete in a certain sport that needs to just lose weight or gain weight? Because sometimes there's also athletes in the NBA that come in just very, like you said, Kobe Bryant was very, very skinny, but he had a bulk up muscle and things like that. What's your experience with that? I mean, I think at this point in my career, I see a lot of clients who have played sports, right? And so they're dealing with old eating habits that no longer suit them because they're not athletes in this current time in their life. And so I'm seeing them on the other side is really what I would, maybe I can't think right now if I have or not, but I know that I've seen a lot of ex-NFL players, let's say, or sports players where they still think they can eat the way they used to.
Got it. I see. And so a majority of your clientele, when it comes to athlete, would you say, will they be post-retirement or when their career is like over, or is it a mixture of both?
Both, yeah.
Cool.
All the above. Or, I work with a lot of high school athletes and college athletes, which might feel a little different. Like maybe they want to gain weight.
Yeah.
Or they need to gain muscle. There's some who just want to get into college playing a sport, so they need to gain weight because they're not big enough or tall enough or strong enough yet.
And what would be the, if you will, I mean, I guess it's following the steps, right, to get to that weight?
Yeah. I mean, for someone like who needs to gain weight and put on muscle, they're going to have to allow themselves to be uncomfortable. They have to eat more. And I have no problem with clients who need to gain weight. We can do that very easily. but they are force feeding themselves.
Oh,
Wow.
damn.
Wow.
But it's force feeding yourself what you love, right?
100% what you love,
So
not what I love.
So I could eat the Hostess donuts and just, as long as it's consistent. I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, but I would be curious if you're crashing and then having a soda. Like there was an awesome commercial by Weight Watchers years ago. It was a Super Bowl commercial, got taken off right after it went out. It was like the best commercial I've ever seen. You should look it up. It's just Google Weight Watchers Super Bowl commercial, and it shows like how sometimes you like have an upper and then you go down and then you need an upper, right? And so like when you think about those donuts and then you chase it with a soda, right? Is this in your best interest? And if like your wife is saying you're angry, like
It's the
what's
crash.
actually happening there?
It's the crap. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And you might need to deal with the sugar addiction, right? And sugar, we're seduced by sugar. We think that we need it in our mouth, like, you know, and that is a pulling we have, that is withdrawals, that is not hunger. And so if you're having withdrawals and you're just having a need somewhere in your body for the sugar, I would not have it. I would see what happens if you didn't have it for 4 or 5 days and you got those withdrawals and the sugar out of your system. If you still wanted chocolate milk and, you know, donuts when you came home from work, I bet you wouldn't.
So it's just about putting that mental, like.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's about putting those. It's about putting those mental blocks. Okay, I'm not gonna do this today. Or I'm not gonna do it. And then it's like my wife always says, it takes 21 days to make a habit, right? That's her thing.
Yeah, but neuroscience, we can. So the way that works, to be honest with you, is we're very habitual, right? So we like to repeat the same thing we did the day before, and we sleepwalk through our day. In order for you actually to not have donuts and chocolate milk when you get home, you actually have to be awake for that moment to be able to say to yourself, I'm not going to have it. You would rather just sleepwalk because that's easier. Having to be awake for that moment is hard. And we don't like to do hard things, but we can handle hard things. We just don't allow ourselves to.
Definitely. But before we wrap up this podcast, I have to, I don't know if I'm going to be spoiling this or teasing it, but I heard through the grapevine that you have a book coming out.
I do. I'm so excited, but you're going to have to wait for it because it's not going to hit for another year.
I mean, that makes the anticipation just so much better, though.
Yeah, I'll just keep teasing it out there. But it's hitting the book stands June 27, 2023, and I cannot wait to save the world.
Great. And will we be getting a taste of these steps just to get, like, I know you're not going to tell us fully, but just like some kind of a deeper tease, if you will, of what this book might entail a year from now?
Yeah, it's basically a how to make these really simple rules, you know, happen in your life, because although they seem easy, there's so many emotional challenges to them.
Definitely.
So that's where you think, that's why you're saying it's harder, because of the emotions that are tied into it.
And that's why she told you. She said,
we'll see. Yeah, she said,
we'll see. Because I was like, I know she's had so many clients who probably quit
Yeah.
on her.
You know what?
We get in our own way.
We do shoot ourselves in the leg sometimes. That's so true.
And is this your first book coming out, actually?
This is my first book. I'm so excited.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
That's
my
awesome.
first-
Congrats on that.
Thank you. Took forever to write, and I'm so proud of it.
That's
Oh my
great.
God,
That's great.
That's great.
I have to say, I think there's some key points of when we want to get you back on this podcast, for sure, when that book releases. But before that, I think there's some kind of struggle that people hit, and I think it has to do bigly with consistency. But whenever we hit the holidays, people just happen to have like just a crazy time and
Slip-ups.
Yeah, you know, all these things that they're consistently working on all year. So maybe we can just have another podcast where you just tell us how to avoid that.
I would love it, and I want to see how you guys are all doing, and you know how you're applying the rules. And you know, remember, we want to be like beach ready every day of the year. So when it comes to the holidays, even like it's not like that food is not around 365 days.
True.
Like, what's the deal?
Right.
You can't just let it go.
That's very, very true.
It's attachments. It's all attachments.
Don't get in your own way.
Thank you so much, Kim, for
Thank
being
you, Kim,
on
for
us.
being here. We appreciate you.
I really do appreciate it. I'm going to rewatch this episode myself with my wife, just because it's going to be so many gems and jewels you dropped today. I hope a lot of people get value out of this.
I hope so. Let me know. I can't wait to hear. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
so
much.
much,
Have a
Kim.
wonderful
Have
day.
a good one, Kim.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our episode. We appreciate your support. Remember to follow us on Instagram at The Current Pod, where you can share our episodes, review, interact with us, talk to us about what's going on. We appreciate your feedback and everything that you guys do for us and supporting us. Have a wonderful day.